Okay. Just I guess we'll just start and then tap. So we have like this. We have we're going to talk about coffee. Coffee, Shabbos. So we know Bishul is not only when it's directly on the fire. If it's a heat from the fire, it's the same thing. So now, how do you make coffee? The issue with coffee is there's the coffee, there's the milk, there's the sugar. Now, word over here. So we have over here, Kli Sheni. Kli Sheni Einim Avashim. Kli Sheni does not have the ability to cook. When it's remember Yatzilus, Yanichnis?
Yeah.
You remember those terms, right?
So Yatzilus, that's when you touch it in your hand across.
Right, and Yanichnis is burning hot. Okay, we just started just now. We're talking about
burning hot, like
using an example of coffee, yeah?
Okay.
Coffee and Shabbos. So now we see over here Kli Sheni Einim Avashim. No, Kli Rishon, Kli Sheni is right. Yeah. Kli Sheni Einim Avashim means it does not have the ability to cook. Kli Sheni, you know what Kli Sheni is? Yeah? Kli Sheni does not have Einim Avash, does not have the ability to cook. But that is if it's Yatsi lettuce. Yatsi is pretty hot. You can't put your finger inside like this. This hot water now, you got me, is Yatsi lettuce. Maybe it's Yanichus also.
You touch it and you literally get a burn. Is that what that is?
Yeah, you put, right. If you could burn yourself, right? Okay. So this, I'm not sure if it's Yad Nichus. Let me say Is it Yad Nichus? I don't think it's Yad Nichus. It's not so hot to water, right? So it's not. Huh?
No, not like really, really hot.
You don't find you have other times you make coffee with really hot water, right?
No, it's not like you go and take a sip and like it's like it burns your mouth actually. It's not that hot.
It's not that hot. You've had hotter, you've made hotter coffee than this. This is not, it's hot. Okay, so not perfect. So now this water here is not Yad Nichus. I put my finger inside of here. Fingers inside. After a while it becomes uncomfortable, but it's not Yad Nichus. Okay, perfect. Now, a cup like this, no problem. I can make coffee in it. I don't have to transfer to a third cup. It's better. People do it because now I'll explain you why people try. People transfer to Kli Shlishi, right? So explain you why. Because first of all, many times it's Yad Nichvis, it's burning hot. Okay, but let's say it's not. But there are certain things, are many things. Someone following this? There's many foods that will cook a Kli Sheni, despite the fact that we say Kli Sheni does not have the ability to cook. But there are many things that will cook in a Kli Sheni because things that are very delicate and sensitive will cook in a Kli Sheni.
Like what?
That's the point. We don't know what they are. When we mean the Chachamim, Halacha, Shulchan Aruch. It's not clear what it is.
Oh, okay.
It's not clear what it is. And therefore they say, just don't put anything in Kli Sheni. Besides certain things they say you could put. We'll talk about it. But generally speaking, don't put anything in Kli Sheni because things that are very delicate will cook in a Kli Sheni. And we don't know what they are, so don't put it to Kli Sheni.
Why would they not
So
clear?
So that is the reason, and then just finish. That is the reason why when you make coffee, you will transfer to Kli Shlishi. Same edition. So you transfer to Kli Shlishi, we didn't put on the board yet, Kli Shlishi, and then you can put in coffee, sugar, milk. Now, I did say you could put, if it's only Yatsi lettuce, I did say you could put in, because there are opinions, the father's actually lenient on this, full explanation, because one of the things they actually allowed to put in Kli Sheni Yatsi lettuce, I said, we don't put a Kli Sheni because delicate foods could cook in a Kli Sheni, and we don't know what they are. Certain things, Chacham did tell us clearly that you could put in a kli sheni, and that is all spices, onions, and all. Now, Rebbe says all liquids. So all liquids can be put in a kli sheni if it's only yad seiledis and it's not yad nich, it's not burning hot. You could put all liquids inside a kli sheni. So far, is everyone following what's happening, right? So far, you getting it? Yeah. Now that's halacha. I'm gonna get it. That's according to everyone. What the Alter Rebbe says. The Alter Rebbe says that in a kli sheni, if it's only yad seiledis, you could put all liquids, which means putting in milk is not going to be a problem. Water like this, you don't have to really transfer it to another cup for the milk. Now the sugar why sugar and coffee? It's better to put in kli shlishi. I'm just saying there is a leniency. I once spoke to my father, and he was lenient about it. Could be still it's better to be strict, but he said he could be lenient because the sugar and the coffee is already cooked. So what's the issue? But still, you're not supposed to recook it because it's going to turn into liquid.
Okay.
Now it's solid, it's cooked, and now you're turning it into liquid. So being that it's turning into liquids, you're not allowed to recook. Now, if we're giving it the status of a liquid, you are allowed to put all liquids in a kli sheni. So that would be the logic to be lenient. Many other Rabbanim I've seen are strict about it. They say no, coffee and sugar, put in a kli shlishi. So yeah, there's definitely room to be strict because you just look at the way it is. It's a solid. Now it was cooked already. Yeah, but Alter Rebbe is strict not to recook it because it's turning into liquid, and so that's why we don't we still are careful with coffee. We treat coffee and sugar as if something it's not cooked, even though it's cooked, because it's changing its status into a liquid. So yes, definitely better. It's not a big deal. On Shabbos, take it, put it into kli shlishi, and then you have no problem. Okay, some of you had questions? No? No?
If for example I put something that can become liquid, like for example you take chocolate and I want to melt it like inside the water and it become liquid, is it allowed?
So you're cooking, the chocolate is cooked already, obviously, and now you're recooking it, and it's turning into a liquid. It's the same like coffee and sugar. It comes the same thing. It's turning. So now you're cooking liquid. It'll be the same thing like coffee and sugar. It's the same idea.
So it's allowed.
Well, in a kli shlishi.
If I
you put it into kli shlishi.
I put into a cup, then transfer to another cup.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah. Now, many times, yeah.
Sorry, I had a quick question. Why would the Chacham not include mention of what the specific delicate things are that you can't?
Oh, you're right. You're right. Chacham themselves aren't clear. Why the Chacham tell us? They're not hiding anything. They don't know.
They don't know?
They don't know. When the Chacham don't know something, they say they don't know. They don't act like they know. So
oh, I see. Okay, so like the knowledge.
Rashi and Chumash has a few times he says, I don't know what this means.
Right, okay.
They say that the Gemara speaks about that delicate things can cook in a kli sheni. But it's not clear. It's not clear what it is. It could be.
Interesting.
But certain things you know for sure it's not.
Okay.
Now, many times you'll get coffee that is piping hot water. So this is yad nichus. You could burn yourself. Then for sure you can't put it into kli sheni. If this cup is a kli sheni, for sure you can't put it in. Then for sure you transfer to kli shlishi. Now, the kli shlishi could also be yad nichus. could be burning hot. So now, really hot, you can burn yourself, even a kli shlishi. If the water is really hot, now you can put in coffee, sugar, whatever you want. So it's interesting. Most opinions actually hold you could. My father's actually machmir. He's strict about it. He says it's yad nichus. You can burn yourself. He holds you can't. But many opinions say kli shlishi. When it's kli shlishi, it doesn't have the ability to cook. Now you can ask, what's the explanation? If it's burning hot, it's burning hot. There's an explanation because there's something about when you transfer to another vessel, it weakens the power. There's something in that just because of the transfer of the vessel, even though it could still be very, very hot, but the fact that it's transferred, the water was tampered with, so to say, it sort of weakens the power of the water. So even though the temperature is still burning hot, but it does have effect on the water.
So what we not allowed to do in kli shlishi?
I mean, it's like just, you do see the logic in klisheni. We're going to get to you soon. Kli rishon has the ability to cook. Even if it's not nichrin, it's only yatzlus, it's the ability to cook. Kli sheni does not have the ability to cook. What happened over here? What changed kli sheni? Same temperature didn't change much. It speaks about because the walls of the kli rishon is very hot, so it holds the heat for a long time. But it's also, I heard from someone, he was explaining me that it has to also, the fact that it's transferred and weakens the power of the water, it sort of weakens it. So anyways, this is what it is. Yeah, what are you asking?
So what if it's yanechbet in kli shlishi, if I want to be strict about it, what are you not allowed to do? To make coffee?
If you want to be strict with kli shlishi not nichus, okay, right. So what do you do? Okay. So what do you do? So how do you make coffee? Good question. So this is how you do it. You take the kli sheni, yad nichus. Look over here. You have something called irui. Irui means pouring. Okay, irui, pouring from a kli sheni, does not have the ability to cook. Pouring from a kli sheni yad nichus is a machloikus. Okay, so this is actually in regards to dry foods. Machloikus is by davar. Davar yavesh. Okay. Pay attention carefully to over here. It could be a little confusing, so give me full attention. Pouring from a kli sheni that's burning hot onto other foods is a machloikus if it has the ability to cook or not. But if you're pouring onto a davar yavish, pouring onto dry food, pouring from the kli sheni that's burning hot onto sugar, coffee. But if you're pouring onto liquids, that's 100% okay. Okay, there's a whole explanation behind it. We can go into it if we need to. But just to simplify, if I'm going to pour, this is a kli sheni. It's a clear kli sheni. Let's say this was piping hot. It's no problem me pouring onto cold water. It's no problem, even if this is not a good example, it's a lot of water, it's not going to cook. Let's say there's a small amount of water here. This is burning hot. I'm allowed to pour from kli sheni onto liquid. Because I'm pouring from hot into cold, it's much more lenient. Cold into hot is always much more serious. You have to remember that. The rule is that heat rises. And therefore, when you pour cold to hot, the hot will cook the cold. When you're pouring hot into cold, it doesn't work like that. And therefore, you're always better pouring hot into cold than cold to hot. So, not from a kli rishon. Some chalekes, we're not going into it now, but just want to simplify it. You're allowed to pour from a kli sheni, piping hot water, into cold liquid, even though it's a small amount and it's going to become very hot. That is okay because you're going from hot into cold, coming from a kli sheni. Therefore, when you want to make coffee and you want to be machmer because the water is piping hot. So what are you going to do? I'm going to make coffee. There's a solution. Pour from the kli sheni that's piping hot into the milk. You're pouring from liquid into liquid, hot into cold. Now, usually you don't put a teensy drop of milk. There's a nice sufficient amount of milk. Now the water is not burning hot anymore. Now the water is not yad nichvis. Now the water is yad siledis. You following so far? Yeah. Now the water is yad siledis, and it's ready kli shlishi. You could put the coffee. You could put the sugar.
Why we
Get
always
it?
making
Milk in the water
this
before you put the coffee?
What's this?
Sorry, you're saying to mix the milk and the water to cool the water down before you put the coffee.
It doesn't work
in.
well. It doesn't work well.
No, it's just it feels wrong somehow. Okay, but that's the way to do it.
No, it's an issue because I do remember once in
No.
class maybe someone mentioned that it doesn't work well for the coffee. Is that
No,
a problem?
because here's the thing, if
It's when the coffee.
yeah,
It ruins the
it
coffee?
ruins the coffee.
It ruins if the milk comes in first, it ruins it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I remembered something like that. That wasn't but in halacha that works the best. So that doesn't if that doesn't work practically, so
We'll wait at this.
so if you want to be I mean, if you're going to be strict by the opinion of Yad Nichvis, then transfer to a fourth cup. I think by fourth cup, there's room to be even more lenient. And then put it in there. Yeah.
No, but,
Yeah.
So why we are always making the sushi?
Why? You see why? Because even though kli sheni doesn't have the ability to cook, but there are certain foods that will cook in a kli sheni, and we don't know what they are.
Like,
So once you put it into kli shlishi, you're safe.
so everybody do kli sushi because it's like the safe opinion. Like it's the most safe way to make
That
it.
Alter says that you should be careful not to put a kli sheni. Exactly.
So if by mistake I'm making a coffee from kli sheni, mistakenly, I need to throw it out. I can benefit from it or not?
Okay, so if you make a mistake, you have good questions. You want to know, okay, what do I do if you do bishul? If you do something that's questionable, it's not for sure prohibited. We don't give you a penalty not to use it. If you do coffee in a kli sheni, yad nichvis,
No, from the mecham is never yet.
yad siledis. So that's a chumrah. We are strict not to do any kli sheni. We're not going to tell you that once you did it, if you did it by mistake, you cannot drink the coffee. If you did real bishul, real cooking, then we say you can't use it on Shabbos. But something we're being machmir, we don't say, oh, you can't use it. We don't go so far. Okay? Yeah.
I have a question before I forget to ask. The soup, right? So say that the soup is really hot. I heard something once that if you use a ladle for the soup, that's considered like a kli sheni.
And we're going to get to that. The ladle is questionable what it is.
Okay.
We're going to get to that. Okay.
I have a question about
Yes.
so obviously regular milk is pasteurized and it's totally fine because it's already been cooked. But what about
What do you mean it's okay because it's already cooked? In terms of what?
it's been cooked so you don't have to worry about cooking it?
Bacteria, right? It's like
No,
the heat.
No, you're
Not
saying
bacteria.
you don't have to worry about cooking.
Yeah,
That's not exactly correct because even though it's cooked already, but liquid, if it became cold, you're not allowed to recook.
right.
You're still not allowed to recook it because it's liquid.
Yeah.
Liquid that was cooked and became cold, you're not allowed to recook.
What I mean is you can add it to coffee.
You could add it to coffee in what way?
In
Pouring
the right way.
pouring the coffee.
You mean
No. The reason why the way you're allowed to add it is, okay, you're talking about first going to put in the coffee, right? Because it doesn't work. Putting the milk doesn't work first, right? Okay. You put in the coffee, and you have to be very specific. What are you talking about? A keli that's yad nichvis, that's burning hot. Let's say it's only yad siledis. What's Yatsi like this, right? Let's say you already transferred it to Kli Shlishi, right?
Yeah.
The Kli Shlishi does not have the ability to cook. Once it's Yatsi like this, for sure doesn't have the ability to cook. So you're allowed to put in coffee, allowed to put in milk. So you're allowed to put in the milk because it's a Kli Shlishi. But otherwise, you're not allowed to recook milk that's cold, even though it was cooked already, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
Sometimes when there's another leniency together with it, and there's a suffix, sometimes it's used as sort of like a sniff, like it's called you attach it with another leniency together, and enough could be lenient in a certain situation.
Yeah.
But not l'chatchila to say you're allowed to cook it because it's already cooked.
Yeah. So how do, like, if you want to add almond milk, which I don't know the process for cooking that, or like raw honey, that it's fine as long as it's shlishi.
Correct.
Okay.
According to halacha, kli shlishi, there's no problem.
Okay. Is there anything about changing the state of something? Like honey is, I don't know, I guess honey can be considered a liquid, but like even like with the chocolate example, like a chocolate bar is solid.
You're saying, will it be prohibited because you're changing the state?
Is there something, I feel like I've heard something about like the idea of changing the state of something from like
Like
solid
the
to
salt-
liquid.
Salt. That's what I remember.
Correct. You're not allowed to. We did learn about this, like crushing ice. You can't take ice and crush it. You can't turn something that was like soap, dissolving it, rubbing it, and turning it from a solid to liquid. That's prohibited rabbinically because it gives the impression of doing a malacha.
Okay.
Because it looks like a malacha, you're not allowed to do it.
Which malacha does it look like?
Doesn't say which one. It just says no. It looks like malacha. Doesn't say which one. It only do because it looks like that. Malacha. It looks like malacha. Just the fact that it looks like you're creating something.
Yeah.
You're creating something that didn't exist, so it looks like malacha.
Okay.
Chacham prohibited.
Okay.
So that's why you cannot crush something. You cannot crush ice, for example. But you could put ice into water, into soda, and it will dissolve.
Yeah.
Because it's not noticeable.
Yeah.
So the same thing is putting chocolate into liquid is not a problem because it's not noticeable.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so soup. Let's talk about soup. Salt, putting salt into soup. So putting salt into a bowl of soup. Ask the question, what is the status of the bowl? So putting salt into the pot itself, a kli rishon, not allowed. What about putting salt into a kli sheni? Let's say you want to take the pot of soup and pour it over into a bowl. Just keep on pouring into without using a ladle. Sometimes people do it that way, yeah? And now you have hot soup in a kli sheni. Okay, so we spoke about it already. You have to be careful. You don't put salt. By the way, salt is a machlekes. Some say actually it doesn't. Some say salt will not cook even a kli rishon unless it's on fire. But we're strict. We are strict. Huh?
No,
Yeah. But we strict with salt even in a kli sheni. So if that's how you serve the soup, you pour it over into bowls, soup bowls. It's a kli sheni. If it's yad nichvis, for sure you can't put salt. If it's yad siladis, then you have to be, you still have to be strict. Yeah.
When we say we are strict, it means that it's not rabbinically not allowed. It just we are going according to the Machmer opinion. Like,
Does it mean that it's not rabbinically prohibited, you're saying?
like for example,
Strict means that in halacha, in Shulchan Aruch itself, it brings different opinions. And Shulchan Aruch itself, not strict with the Rabbanim of these days. The Shulchan Aruch, go back to the Shulchan Aruch itself, there's different opinions. And Shulchan Aruch itself says we need to be strict because certain foods will cook in a kli sheni. We don't know what they are. And salt is included. Salt is also something that could cook in a kli sheni. So they say don't put salt in the kli sheni.
My question is like when I'm, for example, now with Shabbat, and like I have a question, and like I know that we're going according to Mahmir. So if I'm checking Shulchan Aruch or something, and like I don't know if I need to throw it out, I can benefit from it or something like that. So like when I'm checking, I'm looking like when it says Mahmir, like I'm saying it's like rabbinically or it's like opinion.
No. Machmir is a very general word. So when you ask me a question, what does it mean to be machmir? Depends on what context. Sometimes we talk about people have a chumrah. This person has a chumrah. For example, there is a chumrah, like from the Arizal, that he was strict that after you ate cheese, he would wait 6 hours. Not the cheese that you're supposed to wait 6 hours, cheese that you wait an hour for. He would always wait 6 hours. Any cheese that he would chew, that was chewing similar to meat, he would wait 6 hours. So you say that Arizal was mach, so that's a chumrah that he had. But sometimes we use chumrah that Shulchan Aruch says, halacha says, you should be machmir. So the word machmir itself doesn't really tell you what level it is. You only know it from the whole discussion. Machmir is a word. Like you're saying, the proper thing for whom, for when, depends on the discussion. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But over here, when we're saying machmir, halacha says he should be machmir. It's not a chumrah that, some people have a stringency that they don't do like that. I think with the example of Darizal, right? I just mentioned. That's like a chumrah. It's a stringency. Darizal had that chumrah, nothing to do with us. But here we're using the same word chumrah, but it's a chumrah that halacha says, Shulchan Aruch says. There's different opinions. There's diverse opinions over here. You need to be careful because you might be transgressing. You might be doing bishul. Because in a kli sheni, there are things that may cook and salt may be included in them. So don't put salt in a kli sheni. Okay? So that's if you prepare the soup by pouring out from the pot. But many people use a ladle. They scoop out of a ladle, then they put it into the soup bowl. Now, what's the status of the bowl if you're using a ladle? Here it's questionable. We don't know what the soup bowl is. Why is it questionable? Because we don't know what the status of the ladle is. What is the ladle? Kli rishon and kli sheni. Usually, you pour kli rishon into kli sheni. Over here, the soup bowl goes. The ladle goes into the pot of soup. You're not pouring from the pot into the ladle. You're putting You're putting the ladle. You're putting the ladle into the pot. So it's not the typical kli rishon kli sheni. So it's not clear what it is. We don't know what the ladle is. Now we don't know what the bowl is. The soup bowl is either kli sheni or kli shlishi. We don't know what it is. So what are we doing? What are you doing when you don't know? Could it be lean and say, oh, it's a kli shlishi, or say no, it's a kli sheni? So over here with the salt, many paiskim, in halacha, it's brought many paiskim, many opinions are lenient. And they say that because the whole kli sheni is doubtful, and even salt itself is a machlokes, some say can even put in a kli rishon, there's such an opinion. So when in doubt, if the soup bowl is kli sheni or kli shlishi, no problem, you can put salt into it. But there's a catch. The catch is if it's yad nichvis, if the soup is burning hot, and a kli sheni yad nichvis, we have to be strict. So then, if the soup is very, very hot, we can't use that leniency. Yeah, we have a doubt what it is. Hey, it's a doubt. The kli sheni is up. We only have one doubt. Maybe it's a kli shlishi, but maybe it's a kli sheni. And if it's a kli sheni yad nichvis, then for sure, even though it's not really, it's still not for sure because there are opinions that say you can put salt even in kli rishon. By the way, there is such an opinion. It's not the halacha. So you can't say that if you see someone doing it, is for sure 1,000% wrong. No, you can't say that. But for sure, it's a good thing. It would be very proper to be machmir. If you have soup that's piping hot, even though they use the ladle, you really want to be machmir in this case and not put salt into it.
If you see somebody like doing something at at your Shabbos meal that is like considered like bishul, and they hand you like the food.
Could you eat it?
Yeah.
That's your question?
Yeah.
Like what? They put salt into it?
No, not salt. Like if they, if you notice that they like, or I don't know.
They really, see, that's the thing.
Stirring the cholent and then.
No, stirring the cholent. No. Only if it's clearly prohibited.
Yeah.
If it's clearly bishul, then but usually it's not the case. Many of the things that we careful is not like 1,000%. It's things that you're not allowed to do because
if they literally turn the fire and then like.
Or if they, let's say, take hot food they take cold food out of the refrigerator, they put it onto the blech to warm up. They take cold potato kugel out of the refrigerator and they put it right onto the blech.
Yeah.
And when you're not allowed to, and they warm it up, then you're not allowed to eat it. Even though it's not bishul. Here it's interesting. Here it's not even bishul. But it's something that's clearly prohibited.
Yeah. Certain
things we're very strict about. They clearly prohibited it, and because it's a definite prohibition, it's actually prohibited. You can't benefit. But if someone stirs the cholent on the fire, which you're also not allowed, but it's not for sure cooking.
Yeah.
We're careful not to do it, but it's not for sure cooking. That will not prohibit the food, even though we're careful because maybe cooking. But it's not definitely prohibited, which is interesting. But because the act that the person took the cold potato kugel and put it directly on the fire, onto the blech directly on the fire, even though he didn't cook, he didn't do cooking, but he did an act that's clearly prohibited. Chacham said, you're not allowed to do this because it looks like cooking. So this is for sure prohibited. And the fire actually warmed up the food. So they prohibit it because they don't want you to benefit from something that was done on Shabbos. Whereas with the stirring, not necessarily prohibited, and also the part of it is also, that could be the main part, what benefit are you getting? In other words, even when you do something that's prohibited, they're going to prohibit you from benefiting from it. What benefit are you going to get from the fact that the person stirred the cholent on top of the fire? You benefit from that stirring? Right? You get what I'm saying? What's the benefit? Now the cholent is delicious because the guy went and he stirred the pot. It didn't do much. So you see, so our prohibition is something when you benefit from what was done. But every situation is different. There could be many variables, if sometimes it could be prohibited. In most cases, it won't be prohibited. Now, in the case of the salt, it will not become prohibited because the only time the salt could prohibit the food is if it's on the fire. Again, I said there's an opinion that holds that salt you're actually allowed to put even in a kli rishon if it's not on the fire. It's not the halacha, but there is that opinion. And the Alter says should be strict, not even put a kli sheni. But if someone did put salt in a pot of soup, for sure in a bowl of soup, where according to many opinions you're allowed to. You're not allowed to, but in terms of giving a knas, giving a penalty, no, they're not. They didn't prohibit and say that you cannot benefit from it. And even if you put anyways, other things aren't relevant here. Yeah. You guys on?
Yeah. If I have electronic plata it's a
All right, you asked me a question. Yeah, I remember. So I looked it up. And your question was if someone on Shabbos is going to take food out of the refrigerator and put it on the plata, right? So lechatchila, it's not proper. Lechatchila, it's not proper. Most opinions hold. We spoke about taking cold potato, putting on the blech, directly on the fire. You're not allowed. What about putting it on a hot plate? Most opinion holds it's not allowed. There are some opinions that are lenient. We don't go by them. But if someone who does, right, that's what I'm saying. Because our opinions say you could. Some say you are allowed, because it's not really a place where you cook. It doesn't look like cooking. So if someone did do it, I don't think the food will become prohibited. But that's in terms of benefiting. We're not talking about doing it. It's not accepted. That opinion is not an accepted opinion to take cold, dry food, in other words, even though it's cold and dry, so you're not cooking, and to put it on a hot plate on Shabbos. It should not be done. It's not proper to be done on Shabbos. Okay?
It's weird because, for example, according to Rabbi Osdoba, like in
Yeah.
Israel, it's you can even if like we have Shaon Shabbat and like the plata is off, and if I put, for example, the soup on it and the plata will turn on in the morning, you're allowed to eat it. Like you're allowed to.
It's not even. You said, is anyone following what she's saying? He's talking about, look, there's an opinion of Rabbi Osdoba. He says you have a timer and the plata will go on. You take the food, when it's cold, put it on the hot plate. Food that's not going to cook, dry food is probably dry food. For sure, it's dry food. It's otherwise it's special, and the hot plate will go on eventually. You said even. It's not even. In that case, it's probably only neat in that case because when you're putting it on the plata, it's not on. It's going to go on. Get it? That's much more lenient than putting it when it's on. All I'm saying, when you're putting it when it's not on, so it's not on yet.
Also, if it's on, you can do it.
He says even when it's on.
Yes, you can put.
Oh, I thought you said if you even.
No, you can
It's not.
You can, for example, for Sudas Lishit, we put fish on the plata, it's allowed.
He holds you could take cold food out of the refrigerator and put it on the plata. That's what he holds. Okay, so I said there are some lenient opinions. Didn't know he was one of them. But maybe you're sure because you said about the timer. I think some allow the timer.
Okay.
The timer, if you could put when it's hot, but sure you could put when it's off, and the timer's going to put it on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There are more to put it on the timer, to put it when it's not yet on, the timer's going to put on, that's more lenient. I mean, this makes more sense to be lenient in that case. Over there, much more abundant will be lenient because it's not on yet. Now, don't get confused. Generally speaking, when something that's not allowed, you can't put before it goes on. In other words, you can't put something in a place where the time is going to go on. It's going to cook the food.
Only if
You're talking about it's already cooked,
yeah.
and the issue is because you're putting it on. Why can't you put it there? The reason because it gives the impression of cooking. That's the reason why you can't put it there. Why can't you put food on top of a blech, Shabbos, cold food? Because it looks like cooking. The whole idea is, that's why I thought you were referring to only when there's a timer. But many Rabbanim will be lenient to that, because you're putting it on when there's a timer. Right now it's cold. Now what are you doing? It looks like cooking, it's not on. Now it's going to go on, so it's going to go on. But you're not cooking. Now, if it will actually be cooking, you wouldn't be allowed to do that even when it's not on, because you can't cause something to happen. It's not minat Torah, it's limited rabbanan. It's like two people doing a malacha together. He's going to put the food, I was going to make the fire. You're still involved in that malacha. So, so if it was actually cooking, it wouldn't be allowed. Okay. Yeah, the Shabbos, everyone.
Really quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Did we ever talk about spray deodorant if it's allowed?
Thank you.
On the body?
Yeah.
I think we spoke about it, didn't we?
I don't remember what we said.
Okay. Scented. Yeah, it makes no difference. If it's unscented, let's go problem.
Right.
If it's scented, which
Yeah.
means, the scented means that you're specifically using scented to give a scent,
Yeah.
to create a scent.
But you put it on before, it's fine, right?
Correct. If you put on and you're just adding on to what was already, then it's fine.
Yeah. And then what about how does dry shampoo? Have you heard of dry shampoo?
No?
It's like it's spray, and you spray it into your hair, and you kind of just like rub it a little bit, and it like kind of makes your hair like a bit like revitalized, I guess. But it's kind of like a powder and a liquid at the same time. Like
So why is it called the dry shampoo? If it's
Because you don't need to shower.
it's basically like the same texture as deodorant, I think. But like
No, it's like
you spray it into your hair, and then what do you do?
and then I mean taking it out to anything, but like you kind of just like rub it a little bit, and then that's it.
It's make your oil or your hair not greasy.
Yeah, like makes like
You're asking if you're allowed to use it,
yeah.
but I don't know what the consistency is. Is it
I'll show you.
is it like soap? Is it like liquid soap? Do you have to smooth it out?
No, it is dry. I think it's like kind of like putting like flowers.
Is it
not the
like
right-
liquid soap? You have to you're
kinda
rubbing it
comes off,
onto
like,
your hair.
Flowery, like powdery. It like comes off as like a powder. It's like a spray powder.
It's a spray. It's like
It's hard to explain what it is. I'm showing you. He's trying to. I don't know what she's.
Does it have any consistency like liquid soap? That's similarity.
No.
It's like a deodorant spray.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
a spray, like cologne, that's how it comes out.
it comes like a spray,
Yeah,
liquid.
no,
Here, I can.
She's trying to.
And then after you spray it onto here, what do? You're rubbing it into here.
You just kind of like rub it a little
You
bit.
rub it.
Just a little bit. Like it's not like you have to like really rub it in. It just kind of stays on top, and you kind of just like do this so it kind of combines.
Are you rubbing it? You're just going like that.
you could just go like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of rubbing it in a little bit. Like you just rub it around so that it like goes over more, it covers more ground on your hair.
But it's actually a liquid. It's mamish like a spray.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's like it doesn't come off like liquidy at all. I don't.
It's exactly like a deodorant spray,
She said
No, it's not.
Really?
It's got the law.
but it comes out like,
I think Rabbi
And then it
Harris
become-
bought some and brought it into class one time last year.
Really?
Harris, he like, he's like, I went to the store and I bought it. He brought them in.
Are you talking about the same thing?
Dry shampoo?
Shampoo, yeah.
What did he
It's the
say?
same like deodorant spray.
Yeah, it's really
Oh,
similar.
oh,
He said it was fine because it's not being used for fragrance.